What is going on, guys and girls? How doing today? Single roleplay here once again, and today I want to show you guys my next build which I played in the Delirium Nick, and this is the SOULWREST Phantasm Necromancer. I really wanted to play and try SOULWREST for quite some time, and this is one of the very few kind of summoner builds that I just have never played, and I wanted to try it out, see what happens. I've seen that people are liking the build. It was a pretty strong league starter for quite a while, since the very first day Soulwrest appeared, but people, just use it as farming builds, and they don't really push it to the end game. But what I want to really to see is it even possible to make this build, kind of the end game viable? How far can I push it? And to be honest, the original path of building numbers did not look good at all, with just like 20-30,000 damage per phantasm, and this is very low. I mean, what I can do with 20,000 DPS, even though there's 20 phantasms are there, but still like 600k, is just not enough to even kill Shaper in the game. So I started thinking, like, how can I make it a viable build, like a solid experience, even taking into consideration that Phantasm cannot kill any bosses. And I started thinking about what else I can do, and I realized that I want to also try some melee specters. There are plenty of spectre builds out there. I have a lot of them as well, where I mostly use strong specters for clear speed. That's what the majority of people use, like slave drivers, some big AoE projectile specters. But very rarely people use melee specters nowadays, because the melee damage is so strong on the character itself, so you don't really need melee specters anymore. And most specters are just used for massive AoE clearing. So I started thinking and came to the idea of creating this kind of guide where I will be using phantasms for massive AoE clear speed, because they do a shit ton of projectiles. And I also will incorporate strong melee specters, which will allow me basically to kill bosses and help me with the single target damage, because this is where Phantasm kind of fail, and this is where they need definitely some help, because they are purely AoE based minions which just give clear speed. That's about it. One of the reasons why this build is more viable than probably any other Phantasm Soulwrest build you will ever see is because of the new cluster jewels. And there is a new node called Blessed Rebirth, which states that the minions created recently cannot be damaged. And this is extremely important for the phantasms, because they practically have no life on them. They have like 7,000 life on a very, very high level, even, which I use in my build. But 7,000 life is like nothing for the minions. Everything smacks them, they dead. So this new node, which you can get on the cluster jewel, makes them pretty tanky for these 4 seconds, and effectively they stay long enough to deal considerable amount of damage and provide fantastic clear speed in any kind of situations. Doesn't matter what damage is around, they will still be there. And since you always get more and more phantasms that you summon automatically by using these things in gear and skills that I use in my build, you have full uptime of all phantasms at all times. That all makes the build very viable candidate, while at the same time staying cheap and reliable as any Soulwrest build out there, guys. And if we add this one of the strongest melee specters on top in this build, which makes it a really fantastic experience, guys. This build has vastly exceeded my expectations. I thought I will be stuck on the yellow tier maps farming some simulacrum splinters. That was the actual reason why I decided to make this build as a farming build, but I went higher and higher and higher, and eventually I killed Saros 8, Shaper, and Elder, and all the Conquerors deathless, and holy shit, I was surprised myself beyond belief. And this is the Val Temple. I also killed the Val Temple bosses, also deathless, which is absolutely no joke, guys. And when I came into this map, I didn't even notice it was Val Temple, Actually, I think I have it in the footage in a separate video when I just went in and I was like, okay, I'm running, and then I realized, holy shit, this is Val Temple. I think I will go and die, and I didn't. Was a big surprise for me how versatile, good, solid, all-around build is that. Great speed, decent tankiness. I got over like 60, almost 70% block in this build for attacks, which is fantastic. I also incorporated good life pool. In the end, I ended up with about 6.5 thousand HP, which is no joke for the Necro. As you can see, no big problem surviving, zooming around, doing damage. So overall, fantastic build, cheap, reliable, very interesting, very unique. And let's get going and check path of building. Before we go further into the video, I would like to stop for a second and thank my Patreon supporters and Twitch subscribers. You guys are making a huge impact on my life and allow me to get going and continue creating content for all of you. Thank you so much. If you want to make it into the list and immortalize yourself on the internet, join Patreon to get sneak peeks and behind the scenes footage of my work. I'm always looking for feedback on my content, guys, in order to improve, so making sure you always leave comment, like or dislike. Your reaction is very important. And remember,
you, yes you, are making a difference.
here we are in the pathway building, guys. So this is my exact character. We're playing as the Witch Necromancer, and this is level 96 tree. And overall, after about 92, there's practically nothing to do here. You are already done with the build, and you're just taking the life nodes. There's just nothing else to take, in my opinion. This is overall the strength of the build, which means that even the very casual newbie player can reach the end game potential of the build, because it doesn't need like level 98 or anything. It's 92, 93, you are pretty much done with that. So we start with the witch and taking the shortcut over there. We don't need anything there. Get the fat life, heart and soul, get the fat cruel preparation, and that's about it for now. Start to go up and take death attunement. This will give you a second spectre as fast as possible. Take the quick recovery, start taking sacrifice, spiritual command. You can start transitioning to the discipline and training for now, and just get some extra life like Pretty Flash, Redis Army, Redemption for the damage. This I do not recommending taking the staff notes earlier on, because for the soul rest you need some decent amount of levels there for now. But if you can get this early on, this will definitely help. So take devotion for now. After about 80-90, this is purely just going down there and gathering as much fucking life as you can. So your first priority is to get the damage, because you will not really care much about the life at the early stage of the game, and at the end and the end game you will care more about toughness. So this is where you will be gathering the fat life as much as you can. So, speaking about the very important notes over there, I would say that a Grave Pact is very important, gives 5% chance to deal double damage to the minions, as well as Elemental Equilibrium. You will be cursing the enemies with the Storm brand, and also proccing Elemental Equilibrium as well with this. Another very, very interesting thing is using Thread of Hope duel with the medium ring, which allows you to get Ravenous Horde here without going and spending like dozen of nodes over there. And for anointment, you will be gathering Grave Intentions, which gives your minions chaos resistance, as well as 25% chance to gain Unholy Might for 4 seconds on kill, which is a great clear speed boost. That's about it. For the jewels, the cluster jewels, this is a very important thing, and this is probably the most important thing about the whole build and why the build is so much viable. Now is this node. We're taking one medium cluster jewel, which gives Blast Rebirth and Life from Death. Blast Rebirth gives minions created recently cannot be damaged, and it basically means that the squishy 7,000 life phantasms can survive and be pretty much immortal for the whole lifetime of them, and they kind of die, but you summon another pack of phantasms, so there are like infinite immortal phantasms out there. And life from death is just fantastic because if the phantasms die, minion recover 4% of life on minion death. This is just amazing and gives you regeneration as well. And the last one is just the normal jewel here. So that's about it for the tree, I guess. For the ascendancy, this is pretty much standard summoner, mindless aggression, and natural strength, then a command of darkness, and the last one is the plug bringer. That's about it for the skill tree, guys. This is the actual skills that I use, and this is 6 link phantasms which you insert in the Soulwrest staff. And the way that the Soulwrest staff works, I just give you 10 phantasms, and if you insert the summon phantasm support there, you get 10 more. So in general you get 21, actually 21 phantasm there all the time, which is really cool. The coolest thing about the staff itself is that in order to get supported properly, you don't need to 6 link it. So just 5-6 sockets and you are pretty much done. It just supports the phantasm just being supported by whenever a jewel you insert there. It doesn't need to be linked together. So the gems are here: summon phantasm, minion damage, GMP, minion speed, control destruction, and awakening added fire. Awakening added fire is the weakest here. The reason I have it here is because it's pretty cheap, strong, and empower pretty much gives the same, but it's way more expensive. So awakening added fire is usually very affordable. At the same time, the thing about the phantasm themselves is that they actually cast physical projectile spells. They do not attack, guys. They cast physical projectile spells, and this thing is not easy to scale. There are not many good supports for that. There's like very specific things, and so these are the best supports for that, which I personally selected here. This is the actual phantasms. This is where you actually get the damage. This is the phantasm that get triggered by the Soulwrest support, and you can get the physical projectile damage over here. On the 4 link we have gloves here with the golem, minion life summon carry golem with feeding frenzy and animated guardian. This is what gives us feeding frenzy and animated guardian. I have this very specific setup over here. You can get the animated guardian gear over here, which you select the item set, which you can see over here. Guys, check this one out. So yeah, feeding frenzy, animated guardian, and summon carry golem. I will give you the animated guardian setup in the build guide specifically. The auras are in the helmet, and this is a separate 2 link: awaken generosity with hatred, which affects your minions. And then there is another separate 2 sockets which give you purity of elements and summon skitterbots. Purity of elements we are using because we're using the Watcher's Eye with purity of elements, which gives us some mitigation and a ton of chaos resistance. I was very lucky to buy this one with free mods for purity of elements. It was pretty expensive, but not so overly expensive. And if you can get something useful from this, definitely buy it. This is very nice. For these specters, guys, this is the spectre setup in the body armor, and this needs to be 6 link. This is the melee specters that we run, and these specters are, I have 2 specific setups here. I use melee specters, which is the enhanced Violent Fallens. As you can see, they use elemental hit, and the damage is pretty ridiculous, and this is one of the strongest melee specters currently present in the game, and this is why I use them. I've been looking high and low for different specters. Originally I used Stone Skin Flares, but I kind of reconsidered because the damage on the Stone Skins was so shitty that then I found out Violent Fallens, and holy shit, these guys deliver some damage. We have 4 of them. They deliver 1.5 mil and the 6 million single target damage, and this is the reason why there is single target damage in the game, guys, for this build. Enhanced Violent Fallens. They can be found very easily at the very low delves, starting like 50, whatever. In the very first Val outpost, you can desecrate and get these guys with this specific name. Make sure you summon these guys. There are many different Val enemies there we can summon. You need specifically this named Spectre there. The supports a multi-strike, Ray Spectre, Empower, Awakening Melee Fist, and awakening minion damage with Death Mark. If you don't have money for making melee fist, because this is very, very expensive, just use the normal melee fist. That's it. Oh shit, this normal dash, sorry. I'll fix that. This is just the normal dash, guys, and this is basically a mobility. I have it in the ring, and the second ring I get the Desecrate. This is pretty much it, I would say. Yeah, pretty much it. And I get a separate Six Link for kind of projectile specters as well, if you want to use something else other than the Val Enhanced Fallens. Like, for example, when I experiment, I specifically made it possible to use, guys, the Redemption Sentry, because this is also a very strong spectre present in the game right now. If you want to use that, you can use this specific set of skills. I just save it there so you can have, you know, different type of options, right? Different type of options there. So for these skills, this is it. Here we go with the actual items that I use in this build, guys, and definitely the core of this build is Soulwrest, which gives us phantasms. Trigger level 20 summon phantasm skill when you consume a corpse. So the only thing that we need to make in this build is to constantly consume corpses, and this is done through two items that allow me to automate things. I do not consume corpses manually at all. It's all automated by using two different cool items. One is the Devouring Diadem, which is a Necromancer circlet. It basically triggers a level 15 Fist of Flesh every 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds it can consume up to 10 corpses. Fist of Flesh consume corpses and gives you life when you consume a corpse. So this basically gives you like 4,000 life every 5 seconds, which is insane amount of recovery. It also gives +1 to level of Socketed Gems, and Socketed Gems have 20% reduced reservation on top of the Eldritch Battery that it gives. Eldritch Battery means you using your energy shield to cast anything, so you can run like no fucking mana at all. You don't care, use energy shield to cast. And this is where we put all our auras, like Hatred, Skidobots, all that shit is there in the helm. For the helm enchant, there are 3 options. One is the Bone Offering, which grants you a chance to block attack damage. The next option is the Spirit Offering, which grants fist damage as extra chaos to the minions, which is the highest DPS option. And the last option is a Flash Offering, which gives you attack speed to your minions, and this is kind of the second best after this Spirit Offering. That's it. And the second item that automates the consuming of the corpses is the Queen's Hunger, a very actually unpopular item, which triggers a level 20 Bone Offering, Flash Offering, and Spirit Offering every 5 seconds, which is pretty sick. And offering skills also trigger affect you. It also helps with 10% maximum life and comes with different mods which you can unlock. This item drops from the Mastermind, and you need this specific combination, which is the best. Chance to block attack damage and regenerate energy shield per second while a rare or unique enemy is nearby. This is actually fantastic. This is what I have, and this automates the second portion of the build, I would say, because it constantly consumes corpses by triggering Bone, Flash, and Spirit Offering. That's about it. For the gloves, this is Grip of the Council. I specifically bought this Grip of the Council with the elemental weakness because I'll be cursing the enemies by casting Stormbrand as well. This is just pure damage for the minions, nothing else. The boots are pretty standard Spectre boots with some useful, let's say, enchant. These are just my shitty boots. Nothing spectacular, nothing good at all. The only thing that I care about is movement speed, raise Spectre Gems, and cannot be frozen, which I crafted. The amulet is your all-round best Astramantis to solve your dexterity problems whatsoever. 2 unset rings. 1 ring I had enough resistance to actually get a minion damage ring here with minion movement speed ring, and the second is just pure fucking res, nothing crazy. 2 unset rings to fill in some gaps with your sockets. The belt is I crafted myself with pristine fossils. This is just a fat dick belt with a ton of life, ton of resistance, and nothing else. The abyssal jewels, guys, are several things. Blind on hit. There's also taunt jewels and hinder as well, because don't forget that phantasms cast spells, they do not use attacks. So when they hit enemies with these spells, they have chance to hit the enemies, reducing their movement speed. This is very nice. And it's pretty much taunt on hit, hinder, blind, and that's about it. Nothing spectacular here. The last free is the Might of the Meek, which I just have here to give me more life, and that's about it. And Watcher's Eye with Purity Elements, like I said, and Thread of Hope in order to get the Fat Grave Intentions, or Ravenous Horde, and the Anointment is Grave Intentions. And keep in mind that Pathway Building cannot handle Grave Intentions and Ravenous Horde. I decided I'm not gonna simulate it in any way, but keep in mind that the damage will actually be way higher than that when the minions actually kill the enemies. They have way more high damage than here. That's about it. For the flasks, just a normal life flask, Rumi's Concoction for the block. Keep in mind, guys, we have pretty decent amount of block here. I will show you over here. As you can see, we got like 55 block chance, and with the decent Devouring Diadem here, we got, yeah, like 55 block, which is not bad at all. At the same time, Taste of Hate is like pure defensive flask. Fizz is extra cold. We kept cold to the max, so it's not big deal at all. And basically Quicksilver and Basalt for more tankiness. That's about it. For the Pantheons, Soul of Aracali for just basically recovery rate, since we constantly run around not taking any dot damage, and the Soul of Shikari for the poison immunity. These are two my favorite Pantheons in the game. For the Bandits, Kill All. That's about it. That's about it for the build, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I think the build is very unique because I incorporated some really cool things about it, like the automation of consuming corpses, and I fully beefed the phantasms, as well as I incorporated very strong meaty specters, which deliver a shit ton of damage here as well. So make sure you check it out. I think this is a very interesting experience. If you've never played Soulwrest and you've never touched phantasms, this will definitely be a very cool thing to try it out. I can highly recommend it, considering how fantastic and cheap this build is. Because Soulwrest is like one chaos item. Even at the start of the league, it's not very expensive. Queen's Hunger probably will take a while for people to farm this early in the league, because you know it takes time to get to the mastermind, but eventually people will start farming it, and usually no one gives a shit about these chests, so it's not big of a deal. The rest of the items, practically nothing. One measly, fizzly, small, tiny, medium cluster jewel. You don't need any expensive cluster jewels even for this build. So overall, this is probably the cheapest, one of the very cheapest minion builds I've ever played, and it's also very fun, very fast. This is one of the fastest clearing build that I played myself, along with the Solar Guard Spectre build that I created also a couple of years ago. So this is purely a farming build with fantastic single target damage as well. As you can see, I'm just melting some Shaper bosses over there. Not big of a deal, guys. Can totally recommend. Try it out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.